You don't have to get a laptop. We got a
Terry,
thousand.
it's starting.
All right, here we go. Hello, Terry and Linda. I'm sorry that I'm frozen right now, but I'm sure my face will be showing soon. So
Thank
why don't
you.
you get us started, Terry?
Well, Marty, you're pretty awesome. I love your smile because you're like frozen right now. But I know technology challenges in the 21st century is a part of the game. But today Lynn and I are so happy and so honored just to have you guys with us because a very important topic is providing residential housing for special needs. Young adults. They could be 18 and above, but in the Douglas County area, there's a lot of big houses and a lot of families that have tremendous compassion and patience and caring, and they have an extra room or two, and they want to provide some residential housing, but they don't know quite what it's about. So today we're going to discuss that today as to what does it mean to be a host home provider or family caregiver. Now, some of you guys who are family caregiver, you know you have a lifetime assignment with your loved one. So that child has been early childhood intervention, which is generally 0 to 3 years old or birth to 3 years old, is when early intervention occurs. And that's when the child that you love, all of a sudden you discover that that child has some kind of developmental, it could be autistic, it could be Down syndrome or cerebral palsy. You knew from the time of birth, your doctor said Johnny or Mary or little one has some kind of delay. It could be cognitive delay too. So, but you knew from that 0 to 3, birth to 3, that something was happening. So, the early intervention actually is a lifelong diagnosis of a developmental disability. Again, in the current birth to live births today, it's one child in live births out of 54 live births. There's one child today that's going to be autistic. That's current research. 1 out of 54. That's a huge number. So when you look at Douglas County and you look at the state first, there's 92,000 individuals in the state that are actually considered to be special needs or autistic or Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, of which about 14,000 are actually children. Could you imagine how many children the parents are dealing with early childhood intervention, early acceptance in their heart that something is a little bit off, not off, but something's really developmentally challenged with their child. So that's where we come in. We're a PASA. Linda, what is a PASA in the state of Colorado?
It's an acronym for Provider Approved Services Agency, and we're very honored to have Marty here to take the ball now and share more about it all.
Yeah.
Yay,
So
thank
Center
you.
Point Support Living is so honored to have Marty Hannon. And so she's running the program out there, and she lives actually in Castle Rock, which is really good. So you guys can meet with her at any of the locations, whether it be churches or coffee shops, or we can do virtually. But Marty, take it over from there.
Well, first I'd like to thank you, Terry and Linda, for starting Center Point. Was it 10 years ago now?
Yes, yes, really. It's been 10 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot has changed, with COVID, and things have diversified a lot. So the main services we provide a Center Point is helping to cover helping host home providers to be able to provide the services to an individual with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And you do that with helping to get the funding from Medicaid, to pay care providers, and we provide day programming for the individuals for up to 24 hours a week to be able to give care providers a relief and a break. We also provide job coaching and mentoring support to be able to help them get into employment. So we are here to support host home and family care providers. Is that a good summary of what we do?
Yeah,
yes, great job.
I'm like even looking at the new website.
Thank you for that. So we are a small boutique organization that really wants to grow organically and to support families in a way that's very individualized, meaningful. And we do that with our hearts and souls. And we want to make sure that the clients are matched with people who have that same passion, that same desire to serve. And so we bring our faith into everything we do. We bring our love for service into everything we do. And we're looking for host home providers that have that same vision of being able to serve those who need support, who need direction and guidance in their everyday life, their activities of daily living, as it's said. So there are the Department of Human Services have put people on a scale of need based on how much support they need, like from 1 to 7, I believe it is. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
The severity scale of how severe their disability is. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
and the whole objective is very high level, like 7. You have medically challenged clients, could be PIC 2, G2, but we're trying to keep them out of the institutions. So having them stay at home with their mother, father, guardian is very important. So again, the objective is host homes or family caregivers, keep the loved one out of the institutions.
Yeah. Even group home settings can be really challenging and overstimulating. And that's why we come alongside and help people get connected to those services and help that individual stay at home. So an individual with developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, those might include autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, and a variety of other things. We have neurodivergent individuals. You were talking about 1 in 54. I see that statistic going up even higher.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to be so much fewer, and we don't understand all the reasons behind it, but it's a huge influx of individuals who need additional support. So they may need support with reminding to take medications. They may need support on hygiene, reminding to bathe and to brush their teeth, but it could be as simple as teaching them daily living skills of, hey, this is how you do a load of laundry, and come help me cook. And maybe it even gets that person to a higher level of independence. So the goal is always to support them to be as independent as possible. And we're here to help you be successful at that. Help those families, help the host home providers have the tools and the support to accomplish that.
Yeah.
What other ways do we come alongside families, or do you think is important for families to know at this point?
A lot of families, what you just explained is all the advocacy that we do, because a lot of families, when you look at a 28% growth population just in Castle Rock, 28%. A lot of you guys who live in Castle Rock understand when you get on the main thoroughfares how that 28% looks. Well, 28% growth in population means there's a lot of homes that have that special needs child loved one that have moved into the area. So Linda would tell you that we have to then come alongside of that family, because if they've come from another state, now they need to go through the entire process all over again to qualify in the state of Colorado. So Linda and her staff, they actually work in advocacy to work with CMAs. Linda, can you explain a little bit more about CMAs or jump in there, Marty, what a CMA is? The Case Management Agency?
So they call it CMA. It's a case management agency. And there's multiple ones throughout Colorado. And they are kind of the governing agency over PASAs like ourselves. So they are the case manager, and they'll tell the individual, start with applying for Medicaid if you are not on Medicaid services. And if you are, like from another state, you have to still apply for the state of Colorado. Our services are within the state of Colorado is what our PASA is over. And so the different CMAs, they then, give us information. And then depending on where the client is living at or kind of, there's different criteria, then we will refer them to a certain CMA with them understanding that they want to use our PASA for the services. So they have to mention that to be able to get routed back to us. And we can even help them with that, copying us on the emails and everything.
But in your case, most of you guys are in Douglas County. That's the 5 cities of Douglas County. You are going to be assigned the CMA as developmental pathways. We're honored to be with developmental pathways because 99% of our business is with developmental pathways. So you'll hear words like DP being used. That stands for developmental pathways. By far, out of all the 20 CMAs in the entire Colorado, they are by far the most effective one, supportive one. They can take that. They can take the stance of both early intervention. So when you first move into Colorado, and you're in those 5 cities of Douglas County, you might be going through, okay, where do we get early childhood intervention? That could either be done at developmental pathways, and parents, guardians, please be patient because that sometimes can take 1.5 years to get your child through just early intervention, birth to 3 years old. To do the intervention means that an occupational therapist is looking at it, speech pathology is looking at it, MD doctors involved in it. Just to say, as an intervention team, your child is here under this kind of disability, that opens the door to applying the right kind of care. So whether it be an early intervention 0 to 3 or 3 to 18, which is called CES, Children's Extensive Services, 18 to then above would be SLS. Linda, could you explain more about SLS and then DD?
Yeah, there's SLS is for support living services, and those are specific services for someone that wants to qualify for the Medicaid waivers. And then eventually some individuals get on what's called the DD waiver, that's developmental disabilities, and that can be a long wait. Some people literally put their babies on it when they get born because there's a lot more funding for them for those kind of services. And both of these are for both the family caregiver and for the host home provider. And we partner with you to get the most amount of services and funding that we can that the client qualifies for. A lot of individuals don't know what all they can qualify for, so that's our job to try to help them get the best assistance that they can.
I like to say fight because I love a good fight. So when a parent comes to us and we're going to advocate on their behalf, we're going to go through the steps to fight for the maximum amount of services, and the best type of services will be SLS. So Linda mentioned about the DD waiver. The DD waiver last year, just give you guys some hope, 660 people were actually came off the wait list last year onto the DD waiver. 120 of those guys came onto the DD developmental pathways caseload. So again, you're in 5 cities of which you have the best CMA developmental pathways, and you had 120. That's a pretty big number. Now, also, please be patient with the case managers because they have a big caseload on their desk. So when they turn to us as a PASA, sometimes you'll get this list. As parent and guardian, you'll get this list. There might be 40 different PASAs on that list. And they'll be asking you through your own efforts to reach out to us, to find us. Just remember, Marty is there. She's giving you her telephone number, her email address. Linda's there too. And they can actually help you. So we can shortcut all the other 40 process and say Centerpoint Support Living is your choice.
Yeah.
I can't say that any more clearer. It's your choice for working with the best CMA, with the best innovative PASA. And yes, we're small, but we're agile too, because we care and we deliver that care every single day. So Linda and her case management staff does working advocacy, working with you on a quarterly basis. How does that work, Linda or Marty? Do you know they're meeting with them quarterly.
Yeah, we go into and do home visits quarterly to make sure you have all the supports you need and you're still at that same level. Any other education you may need, we seek that out to support you. If people have more than 2 people in their home, which we don't necessarily recommend, but if you have 3, it actually goes to monthly visits that we stop by. But most people are going to only have 1 to 2 individuals residing at the home. And I think it's important that we focus on that when you are a care provider, a host home provider, you are essentially taking this individual in as a family member. So if you're already family and you're going to start getting, hopefully, DD waiver support, then they're already integrated in your daily life. But as a host home provider, you need to go into this with the understanding that you're going to create a family atmosphere with this individual included. You're going to be arranging and taking them to doctor's appointments. You're going to be you're going to be including them in all family meals and vacations and going out into the community and engaging. So, and you're going to be helping them live as independently as possible. So your role is critical in helping this individual live the best possible life and being as independent as they can. So you have to have a heart and a desire for this. It is going to take a lot of your energy, but it is a calling and it is and you do have the ability. Now the funding is there to help you financially support this individual and be able to provide for them. And so that's what we help you get. And there's a lot of things changing Medicaid right now. And just like Terry was saying, we're here to fight for you and figure out how to make sure you get the most money possible from Medicaid. And they are the ones who are staying in the know on what's happening with government funding. So this is the role we provide. This is the support we provide. Obviously, if you are going to become a new host home provider, there is a lot that goes into that in selecting those individuals. Like we said, you have to have a compassionate, caring heart. You have to be over 21. You have to have an extra bedroom in your home, and you have to go through some intensive background checks to make sure you are a safe individual. And then there'll be some mandatory education, such as QMAP, which helps you learn how to administer medication safely and to track that information. Also on CPR first aid, along with assault, abuse, neglect information. So, and then we will tailor education based on what the individual needs that we end up matching you with. So
Marty,
that
Marty,
is a lot of information. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Terry and Linda?
Yeah. Some of our audience may be saying, well, I prefer a female versus a male. Do you have any comments about that? Because not everybody likes young, old, that type of thing.
I think that our role is to match you with the best fit possible, and that we encourage you to be open to the individual, have an open heart to who you'll receive into your home. But we're going to do our best to match you with a good fit for you and your family.
Yeah, amen. So, Linda, your case management team works with a software system.
Yes. We work with their app, and which is a highly rated, excellent documentation service that also helps us carry out all the billing and to make it a more seamless documentation process.
You're so good at that. Well, guys.
Also, I would like to just mention, just like Marty said, the goal is to kind of make them feel like they're part of the family. And but if you do need a break, there is something called respite care, and then we can help you try to arrange for respite care. Now you do have to pay, or we pay the person that's doing the respite care during the time that you're gone on vacation. But if you feel that you do not want to take the clients with you, client or clients, that's another option too, but it's up to you to make that decision when that time comes.
Yes. Yeah.
Marty, you mentioned the QMAP and the CPR. So basically, we're contracting with the host home provider. We're contracting with the MCA or family caregiver. What if the family member has another relative? Can that family relative be the day program provider? Kind of give the parent or guardian a break?
I think we talked about this the other day, and I would love for you to answer it because I cannot remember the details on that.
Okay, I can go ahead and answer that. So if you are a host home provider, the one that we're actually contracted with, you cannot provide the day program services.
Yes.
Under your contract, you are taking them to doctor appointments, like Marty said, and medical, dental, eye appointments, things like that. But the actual day program services, which takes the clients out into the community, it's called, the ones we do are SCC, Supported Community Connections, and it takes them out in the community. It can be up to 24 hours a week. We, depending on where you're living at, we do currently have a small day program that can pick them up and take them along with our current clients. And then, but if you have someone, especially if it's a client that's a higher level that wants more one-on-one individual, we have to talk about at the time what their SIS level is. Then they can consider having, say, like a spouse or another family member that's qualified, passes a background check, and over 21, or at least 21. They could perhaps also drive the client in their own vehicle around out in the community. So there's things that we can work out, but there's a lot of things involved with that. But that's the basics of, yes, that can be done that way, Terry.
Yeah. There's, not to scare you anything, but just to inform you, there's a thing called elopement. So when you have an autistic loved one staying in your home, you already know that there could be like Tourette's, which is like more hand movements. You could have elopement look like running.
Can I answer this one, Terry?
Sure.
I just wanted to, I know we've talked a little bit about this in the last session. And I think that a different term might be that you're going to see different behaviors. So one of those might be elopement. Elopement is where they will run off and they may not stay right in your vicinity, and you may lose track of them easily. So you have to keep a closer eye on them. So that's one behavior you may see. You also may see behaviors like Tourette's, which is spontaneous, uncontrollable swearing or spastic movements in their body. You may see compulsive eating as a behavior where they will want to snatch everybody's food around them. I've known people who've had to lock cabinets and to help control the food consumption. There's also, some of the behaviors you might experience is a high risk of falling. And so knowing how to stand beside that individual and provide the support they need is something that we'll plan out with you. Now, we've encountered people who have a propensity to just snatch items when you go into a store. And so we provide special care planning to make sure that we're checking pockets,
Yes.
And so there's a variety of behaviors that you may experience. And a lot of times those behaviors are a way for that person to try to communicate what's going on. They may be feeling uncomfortable. They may be feeling anxious. I don't like associating adults with baby behavior, but in this instance, you do need to look at what does that cry really mean? What does that person really need in this moment? And really think about, am I feeling anxious? Am I carrying my body tightly and causing anxiety in the person in front of me? Is it too hot in here? Is it too cold? Are they hungry? Do they need to go to the bathroom? Am I giving them too much information at once? And so, learning how to be a private investigator to figure out what is the meaning behind the behavior you're experiencing. And for those who are high elopement risk, we're going to definitely have a plan in place for what do they need when they go out on an outing, and how do we closely monitor, and are they registered? Is their picture registered with different safety areas? And is there a place where we're going to meet people up? So we'll have a communication plan in place for all of that. So there's a lot of different things you may encounter, and we're going to come alongside you and plan that out with you.
You said that so well. So you basically
Great job.
you're saying there has to be a collaboration between the parent, the guardian, the agency, the CMA. It has to be total.
Yeah.
Because what happens is one person, there's this analogy that says if you met one autistic person, you met one. They're so unique in all their, their behavioral, their physical disabilities. You can have a thing called co-occurring where you're autistic, but you're also behavioral, like anxiety or stress relief, or, there's trauma. So that behavior is added on top of the physical. That's called co-occurring. So we work together collaboratively to understand what you're seeing, and then we can interpret it and say, okay, here's the resources you need to overcome that particular situation. So, that's what it's all about, is working together to serve this special needs, because they're the most vulnerable folks. They could be sitting at a, like Marty said, they can be sitting at a bus stop or train stop, hopefully sitting, and a police walks up to them and says, who are you? And then the person's not going to say a word because there might be nonverbal. And then another public person walks up and says, what's the next bus? What's the bus number? Because a lot of people inquire, do I have the right bus? And this person's not going to say a word because they're autistic sitting on the bench. So necessarily they may not have a special assistive technology that can be, I can't talk, but I can hit the button and tell you what this thing is. They may not have that. So we have an entire society, including churches, they're not quite ready for the autistic child or young adult to be in church service, because like Marty, you mentioned noises, all those things, we're not quite ready societal, but we need to let them live in society safely as a member of society and be honored in society. I really believe, Marty, that there's a thing called E2, twice exceptional, that some clients and loved ones are taking care of kids that are so smart in math and science and engineering, but they're also twice exceptional because they're underlying disability. So if you have a space launch program industry here in Colorado, $4 billion, just space shuttles launched, private. 50% of that 4 billion is software. 50% of that is the electronics or the software. I believe those twice exceptional young adults and adults can, at some point, work in the space shuttle. That's how much belief I have in the human potential. But we have to bring that out. And we have to be patient, caring, listen very patiently, because they might be saying something repeatedly, but we need to say, man, you're so smart at science, and you can beat me in chess, like that. I don't really play chess really good, so they could definitely beat me.
But we do have clients that have beat others that are very good at chess. They become very good at chess. So you're right. They have such high IQ. Sometimes people underestimate them. So I think
go ahead.
I think we need to probably wrap it up. So that we can let the individuals go. Do you have any last comments, Marty, that you want to make?
I would just say we would be honored to talk with you further about what you're looking for, what your needs are for, and then make sure that you are sharing, spreading the word to others you encounter who need support services, so we can get them being as independent as possible. We will come in and support those families, and but we need loving individuals. So if you meet people who fit that bill, please share the information, have them reach out to us. I'm going to be sharing my phone number and email. You can find us at centerpointsupportliving.com, I think it's, and then we're on Facebook as well. And we soon will have some YouTube videos. And we just thank you so much for your time, and look forward to working with you in the future.
And just a tidbit, Centerpoint is spelled the British way. That's how my husband Terry decided to do it. So it's spelled CENTRE, and then point, POINT. That's all one word, Centerpoint, and then supportliving.com. Well, in the email, it doesn't matter, but yeah, if you're looking it up. So thank you, Marty. Great job. We appreciate all you're doing to help us develop the host homes and the family caregivers and anyone, even if you know a client, even if you're not trying to do the host home yourself, if you know a client that needs help, please refer them to us, and we'll get them started the services, or if they want to change or something like that, we can help them with that as well.
If I had the Rocky music on, I would actually play the Rocky music, ready to fight. So you know how Rocky runs up on the big steps and he holds his hand. That's how we. That's how we would move for you. So maybe I should look at that movie.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Be
Terry and
blessed.
Linda. God
Okay.
bless you. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to stop recording and we can chat.
Okay, let me just let's just hop off for a minute, okay?
Okay, I stopped recording. Okay.